Okay, everyone, welcome to the 44th Forum on Tolerance, Black Lives Matter, the U.S. Journey Towards Justice and Healing. I'm the chair of the Forum on Tolerance Committee, Laurie Carlson. It's my pleasure that you're all here tonight. Just to let you know, you might notice that you're muted on entry. The way we're working things tonight is if you have a question to ask, you could present it in the chat, or you can raise your hand during the actual Q&A. If you're called on, we will unmute you then, just to try to keep things a little quieter. Also, if you do ask a question, do know that we are recording this. We're recording it both for archival purposes, and also it will be broadcast later on Lynn Community Television afterwards. So just know that if you do ask a question, you're likely to be on camera for Lynn Community Television. So with further ado, I would like to introduce our interim president of North Shore Community College, Dr. Nate Bryant, to welcome all of you.
Thank you, Laurie. Good evening and welcome to North Shore Community College's 44th Forum on Tolerance. As Laurie said, my name is Dr. Nate Bryant and I'm North Shore Community College's interim president. And it is truly an honor to join you in this unprecedented moment in our country's history to kick off 4 days of programming around this year's theme of Black Lives Matter, the U.S. Journey Towards Justice and Healing. Tonight's presentation, featuring our esteemed speaker, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson, is the first of 4 days of varied presentations that will take place in individual segments broadcast on Zoom between October 19th and the 22nd. Before I get into tonight's details, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the college's Forum on Tolerance Committee for creating such a robust series of programming. Although this is the 44th Forum on Tolerance, it is the first time that our 4 days of programming has been offered and in the midst of an international pandemic, no less. I am incredibly proud and grateful for the passion, energy, and commitment displayed by Forum Chair Dr. Laurie Carlson and her esteemed colleagues who have worked diligently for many months to deliver what I'm sure will be a wonderful week of learning, understanding, and hopefully healing. Please join me in thanking the Forum on Tolerance Committee, Dr. Lisa Altamari from the English Department, Dr. Laurie Carlson from the English Department, Tan Gaderi from the our Human Resources Director, Professor Yusuf Hayes from our Cultural Arts Department, Dr. Carl Jean from our English Department, Amanda Dooling from our Office of Student Engagement, Jennifer Chavez from Human Resources, Dr. Robert LeBlanc from our English Department, Professor Wanda Pothier-Hill from our Communications Department, Professor Sherry Raftery from our Communications Department, Dr. Kara Kaufman, Professor of History and Gender and Women's Studies, Michelle Cubelli-Harris, Office of Student Engagement in our Males Program, our Student Representative Lily Kaplan, and last but certainly not least, Dr. Sheldon Brown, North Shore Community College Emeritus Faculty. A very special thanks goes to Dr. Brown as he is the creator of NSCC's Forum on Tolerance. Dr. Brown joined NSCC as a part-time teacher in 1965 and became a full tenured professor in 1972 in the Behavioral Sciences Department. His journey to institute the Forum on Tolerance began in the 1970s with his deepening research into human behavior during the Holocaust. In 1994, Dr. Brown formally introduced Holocaust education to NSCC, teaching the course, Literature of the Holocaust, for the next 16 years. Dr. Brown's vision that the sharing of human stories can bring about empathy, understanding, and social justice extended beyond the classroom. Turning passion into action, he founded the Forums on Tolerance in 1996, serving as chair until 2014, and he continues now as a volunteer. The Forums explore social injustice and its impact and initiates educational challenges to bring together students, community members, and guest speakers to learn more about one another, bring about empathy and understanding towards other people, and to make a difference in ourselves, our neighborhoods, and our world. Topics have ranged from the Holocaust to immigration, civil rights, and now Black Lives Matter. In 2018, Dr. Brown, along with his wife, Fran, of 65 years, established the Forums on Tolerance Endowed Fund to ensure the continuation of this important initiative. As you can see from this 44-year legacy, NSCC has long been committed to equity, inclusion, and diversity. Supporting a diverse campus is at the core of our mission and values, and we are dedicated in ensuring inclusive, proactive, and empowered culture where diversity is a guiding value, not just in theory, but in practice. True diversity implies a pluralistic campus, one that provides students, faculty, and staff the opportunities to learn about, respect, and appreciate each other's cultures and backgrounds. Diversity is inclusive, encompassing everyone. It seeks to create an environment in which each person in every group fits, feels accepted, has value, and contributes. In addition to the forums on tolerance, the college has a long history of involvement with the following. North Shore's campus affiliate with the National Coalition of Building Institute is an international organization dedicated to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're also part of the Diversity Leadership Council, which is part of our governance structure. We are engaged in the National Leading for Change initiative, in our student engagement office and organizations which offer diversity programming on LGBTQ and DACA resources. And just recently, we established the Anti-Racism Working Group. Prompted by this year's events, the college recommitted to ensuring a diverse and inclusive campus where all are welcome, respected, valued, and heard. The college community adopted a new, stronger statement, and I'd like to share it with you now. We denounce racism, hate, institutionalized violence, and especially anti-Blackness. We acknowledge the power of white privilege and recommit to creating a culture of mutual respect, understanding, and support for all who face historical and present-day oppression. This year's forum theme emerged from our condemnation of the senseless murder of George Floyd as the catalyst. The virtual series will focus on the history of harassment, profiling, and brutalization of Black citizens by the hands of community policing in the criminal justice system. We will explore steps to reverse the systematic racism, help those who have been victimized by it, and heal as a nation and a community. I'm delighted that Salem State University, my alma mater, and where I have spent 30 years of my professional career, is partnering with us to present this year's forum. I am pleased to introduce my former colleague and Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion, Dr. Sean Bennett. Dr. Bennett started at Salem State this past June, and with him came over 20 years of experience in higher ed and K-12 education. Prior to his arrival at Salem State, Sean served as the Assistant Dean at Rochester Institute of Technology in Rochester, New York. Sean has considerable experience in the areas of diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and in a short period of time at Salem State has made a noticeable positive impact leading their diversity and inclusion efforts. Thanks to Sean and Salem State for agreeing to partner with NSCC. When Dr. Carlson reached out to Sean, he enthusiastically said yes. And before I turn it over to Sean, I would like to acknowledge John Keenan, President of Salem State University, who is also participating in this Zoom. Thank you, President Keenan, for joining us and for your continued support and partnership with North Shore Community College. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Sean Bennett. Sean?
Good evening, Dr. Bryant, and thank you very much for the handoff. I want to begin by quickly just saying thank you to everyone here who's here tonight from North Shore Community College and Salem State University. This evening would not have been possible if not for the invitation from North Shore Community College. And we are excited about the opportunity to be part of this conversation. And there are way too many folks at Salem State to thank for their contributions to the event tonight. So I will honor the request of our guest this evening, and I will provide a brief introduction. Did I lose?
Yes, that was very brief. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I felt like my computer froze here. I apologize. That was briefer than I intended, Doctor.
That's good. I'm good. I'm good with it, though, brother. I'm good with it, Doc.
What I had hoped to say. I'm sorry. My computer froze there for a second. What I meant to say is that in addition to the honor that it is to welcome Dr. Dyson this evening, based on his extensive background and experience in this space, I wanted to, on a personal note, thank him because his presence His scholarship and his authentic voice has been such a motivation for me, not only professionally, but personally. When I read Dr. Dyson's first books, it gave me the idea that I could live as a first generation college student in the academy. I could present in the academy and have an impact in the academy in a way where my authentic voice could come across. I could be both a scholar and retain an authentic voice that represented the community that I was from and my family. Dr. Dyson is currently a distinguished university professor at Vanderbilt University in sociology, a New York Times contributing opinion writer, and a contributing editor of The New Republic and of ESPN's The Undefeated website. His rise from humble roots in Detroit to his present perch as a world-class intellectual, noted author of 21 books, prominent leader, and national media fixture testify to his extraordinary talent. Dyson has taught at Brown University, Georgetown University, the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, Columbia University, and the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Dyson has won many prestigious honors, including an American Book Award and 2 NAACP Image Awards. Ebony magazine cited him as one of the 100 most influential African Americans and as one of the 150 most powerful Blacks in the nation. Importantly, for the students who may be tuning in this evening, Dr. Dyson ascended from a welfare father to Princeton PhD, from church pastor to college professor, from a factory worker who didn't start college until he was 21. And this explains why writer Naomi Wolf terms him the ideal public intellectual of our time. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Dr. Michael Eric Dyson and thank you for the honor of being with us this evening and also lightening the moment as I work through my frozen screen there. So welcome, Dr. Dyson. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett, doing a tremendous job there at Salem State, and to Dr. Bryant at North Shore Community College there in Massachusetts. To all of you, my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, good evening. What an honor it is to be here today with the extraordinary leadership of Dr. Bryant and Dr. Bennett and so many of the other professors and deans and leaders and school teachers and professors and students and other faculty and staff as well. It's a great honor to have this chance to chat with you virtually. Would love to be there in the flesh and chop it up a bit in Massachusetts, but it's good to be here in safety, socially distanced, because we believe in science. And you know, you used to be able to take that for granted, that most folk believed in science. I mean, sure, Kyrie Irving, the ball player, said that he didn't believe the earth was round and it was flat, but come on, bro. Just stick to playing point guard. And, but when you're the president of the United States of America, or when you're a senator or you're another representative of the state, it's a bit more distressing. And here we are a few days before a monumental election. I hope all of y'all are registered. I hope you voted as many times as legally permissible. And it is indeed incredibly crucial to the future of the nation that we weigh in wherever we are on the political spectrum with our views about what's happening. I suspect you can intuit and guess what side of the aisle I'm on, but you know, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we're still citizens of this nation. We're still human beings. We're still global citizens. and we ought to treat each other with respect, regardless of our views, as long as those views don't mandate that you, in an authoritarian sense, suppress the vote, vision, or value of the other person, so that the exercise of your liberty imposes a lethal limit upon the emancipatory potential of our citizenship. So what an honor it is to be here tonight. Let me get right to the subject, the beautiful subject you've laid out here: Black Lives Matter, the U.S. journey towards justice and healing. Now, the great Southern historian C. Vann Woodward said that a title is a contract between an author and his or her audience. And so if that's true as an author, and I've written a few books, it's also true as a speaker, that the title is a contract between us, so that I won't go off and talk about, the beef between Heisenberg and Einstein over, physics and whether or not quantum mechanics could specify phenomenon in the universe. I'd love to talk about that. That's my amateur interest, but I'd love to talk about Robert Frost and poetry. Here I am in New England. I mean, don't you get the whiff of Mr. Frost? Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though he will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. I would love to deconstruct that poem. And, I'd love to talk about, the local hip hop scene there in, the Massachusetts great state of liberty. But let's talk about Black Lives Matter. 3 words that have created such an enormous groundswell of both potential revolutionary transformation and the sullen and discombobulated disagreement of those who feel that it is an unalterable commitment to political chicanery that is subversive of American democracy, and a bunch of Marxists running around trying to tell the world what to do. No, I'm afraid they're already in the White House. Because if the Russian invasion is coming, it's not the Bolsheviks, it's the president standing with a man who makes extraneous gases and just keeps Putin. See what I did there? See what I'm just. Come on, give me a break. I'm an old black man. I'm trying to make some jokes. Help me out. So, Black Lives Matter began, as you know, in response to the death of Trayvon Martin in Florida, and the trial that was had, and the grief that was occasioned in the aftermath of the acquittal of George Zimmerman for murder, the murder of Mr. Martin, 17-year-old young man who was essentially and viciously caught up in a network and a web of suspicion and skepticism about his whereabouts that led to his death. And in the aftermath of that trial that did not have the outcome that many African-American and other Black people and other good conscientious Americans wanted, a hashtag began reminding us that Black Lives Matter. And then from a hashtag to a rallying cry, and from a hashtag to a rallying cry to a movement that has gained such profound momentum, not apparently so, not without resistance. 4 years ago, if you had handicapped Black Lives Matter, it's on the margins. Few people know about it. They accosted some liberal politicians because they couldn't get to the conservative ones because they didn't really give a damn. And so they accosted Mr. Sanders, Senator Sanders, and Senator Hillary Clinton. I guess the president of the United States, Barack Obama, got by the hair on his chinny chin, because Black Lives Matter comes at the end of his administration. So we didn't see the interesting bipolar juxtaposition between the United States' first Black president, who might have been held to account for what some would have concluded were his rather middle of the road liberal views that didn't pay attention to the systemic and structural inequality that prevailed. It would have been interesting to see how far Black Lives Matter might have gotten, or how far they would have pushed him had they come about in enough time to really make a difference for an election for the nation's first Black president. But as it stands, they brought the heat to those presidential candidates and other local candidates vying for prosecutor, or some statewide, some federal, and national. And so Black Lives Matter became known as a kind of combustible, combative, pugnacious group of Black people who just weren't having it and were trying to make an argument about Black protests and Black progress. But they were building up capital, they were accumulating cultural capital, they were making agendas available, they were thinking strategically and systematically. And you never know when historical events will come along to amplify and expand certain moments in American history. I mean, you all are there in Massachusetts. I hear, a few years ago, there were some disgruntled people and they got together. Of course, they were looting. They dressed up, they impersonated other people, Native Americans to be exact. They stole and looted some tea, poured it into the waters. And won't you know it, like all looters, they tried to pretend it was about liberal resistance and political progress, and it was about social justice and the founding of a nation. Go figure, right? Looters, thieves, impersonators are the basis of American society, right? Now, those who take their position go, they were heroes. They were remarkable patriots to a nation that did not yet exist. Patriots to what? Loyal to what? And so in the beginning of this nation, in the battles that took place there near where you are now, in Crispus Attucks, the Black man, right? You've heard Stevie Wonder's Black man, first man to die for the flag we now hold high was a Black man. All right, he said something like that. It was a little bit better than what I just sang it, right? He's talking about Crispus Attucks, who literally took a bullet and a bayonet for the cause of the American nation. Looters, robbers, thieves, people who were impersonating Native people, colonialists, literally, trying to establish a nation. Everything that's been said about Black Lives Matter, you know now, was said about those folk who got together to start a nation. Now, we don't know. Maybe Black Lives Matter will inspire the beginning of a new nation. That would be dope. 100 years from now, with a new nation being generated, who knows? But they are about a new nation within the nation. They are about igniting new understandings, new grapplings, new ideals, new noble commitments, new loyalties, and the revival and resurgence of original ideals. Here we are now going through the process of determining whether or not Amy Coney Barrett will be on the Supreme Court. And ostensibly committed to adjudicating competing claims about what's good and bad and what's just and not just, what's righteous and not righteous, what's moral and not moral, what is powerful. And she is an originalist. And these terms come out. What is an originalist? Who believe in the original words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Yo, Women couldn't vote. They didn't really matter. Black people, according to the Supreme Court in 1850s, Roger B. Taney, the Chief Justice, has said that Black people possess no rights that white people were bound to respect. You scare me when you say you an originalist. Can we get the remix? The first song was interesting, but the remix is hotter, better beats, more people included, right? Because you got Native people, you got indigenous folk, you got Black people, you got women, all the folk who were excluded in the first go round. We couldn't get our part. You didn't let us sing in the choir. We had to be mum. You didn't mind us shining up the bench. You didn't mind us looking from afar at the great cathedral of American democracy, but you wouldn't let us sing in the choir. So we want to sing. We got something to say too. And so Black Lives Matter derives from a long-standing tradition of American engagement with ideals, noble values, uplifting and edifying conceptions that make a nation or that can remake a nation. But a lot of people got upset by the simple assertion, hey, when we see Trayvon Martin disrespected, and then later when we see Alton Sterling disrespected down in Louisiana, selling some CDs and some DVDs, and two police took him down and without provocation shot him. Or Philando Castile in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the site of Mr. Floyd too, where his girlfriend live streamed his death as he noted to a police person, hey, sir, got a legally attained gun. It's all registered and well. I just want you to know, in case you check it out and you see it, I don't want you to get upset. 7 seconds later, he was filled with lead and he sits there bleeding out as his girlfriend live streams it on Facebook, and her daughter is in the back seat of the car. Sandra Bland leaving Chicago, going to Texas, trying to get a job at Prairie View A&M, and got stopped by a police person for a simple traffic violation that led to an altercation, then subsequent consternation, and 2 and 3 days later, hung in her jail cell. Breonna Taylor, in her home in Louisville, Kentucky, sleep with her boyfriend next to her, and the police barge in, and then shooting occurs and they kill her. And the only cop of the 3 who were responsible, at least in part for her death, the one that was responsible was not held to account. The man who shot bullets into the white neighbors, not the Black neighbor's house, that house was not deemed worthy. All apartments don't matter. And the bullets that penetrated that wall, that went recklessly into that apartment, were then the cause for the sole cop to be held to account. Nothing to do with Miss Taylor herself. And I could go on and on. George Floyd, the reason that many of us are grappling with this issue now, that in the statements of both of Dr. Bryant, and of course echoed in the sentiments of Dr. Bennett, the reality is that a Black man, 6'6", you couldn't take measure of his impressive physique. He was laying prostrate on the ground, claustrophobic. The only resistance he showed to the police was, I don't want to get in the backseat of your car. I'm claustrophobic, and he's a big, tall Black man. So they have him on the street corner, on the street, the pavement, with the knee of Officer Derek Chauvin in his neck. The full weight of his body rested upon this man's neck, his mortally depressed column. And he's begging, like Eric Garner begged a few years ago, 2014, in Staten Island, New York, I can't breathe. What, do you need empirical verification? Are you from Missouri? Do you need a substantiated breath test to show you that I actually can't breathe. They were having arguments about his own perception by saying, you're talking a lot, why don't you be quiet? You seem to be doing fine. To us, he's telling you, I can't breathe. Even doctors ask the patient, how are you doing? What do you feel when I do this? Knowledge is a two-way street there. Even the medical knowledge derived from self-reporting of individuals. It's not just instrumentality. It's not just scans. It's not PET scan or CAT scan. Those are critical. It's also reporting. Does this hurt when I touch it? When I move it this way, what happens? It's a collaboration between the existential perception of the individual and the knowledge of the professional. All of which is to say, my brothers and sisters, George Floyd then died on that day, and it set America off. Black Lives Matter again had to pop up. Now many white brothers and sisters and other non-African American people, non-Black people said, maybe for the first time we get it. I don't want to judge you. I'm not here to judge you. Damn, you didn't hear it before? Whoa, damn. Guess all that slavery didn't impress you, huh? All that Jim Crow didn't strike you, huh? All those lynchings didn't get to you, huh? All right. For us to understand that when we say Black Lives Matter, we ain't saying white lives don't matter. Come on now. How whack is that? Well, all lives matter, you know. They should, but they don't. Women's lives don't matter. Stop telling me women's lives matter when they continue to make like 70 cents on the dollar what a man makes, and Black women and Latinx women make far less than that. Tell me queer lives matter. We're going around here beating up on trans people, on gay, lesbian, bisexual folk, upset, mad. And some of the very folk mad practicing itself in the closet and can't never get out, but use their political bully pulpit, like the senator from Iowa, who was against gay marriage, for marriage between a man and a woman, had kids, went into the bathroom, touched the toe of his neighbor in the stall. That was the sign among gay brothers. And, you know, I'm available for engaging in some form of erotic revelry, some form of intimacy. Now, I've done the same thing, but I was just asking for some toilet paper. I had no idea that was the sign. I was like, hey, bro, I'm out. Can you hook a brother up over here? I don't know, right? So the thing is that all lives don't matter. Poor white lives don't matter the same way rich lives matter. There's a difference between being from Kennebunkport, Maine, and from Hope, Arkansas. The lives of Bill Clinton and George Bush were radically dissimilar. There's a difference between studying Puccini or Donizetti or cantate domino in excelsis regis than Hank Williams. I'm proud to be an Okie from Muskogee. Okay, that's Waylon Jennings. I'm sorry. I got my man mixed up. My man Hank Williams, right? Hey, good looking. What you got cooking? How's about cooking something up with me? Man, that was a cold brother. Y'all need to don't sleep on Hank Williams. Not Junior. He tripping, okay? I'm talking about his daddy. Not Hank Williams Jr., American classic bigot, right-wing ethnosaur. I'm talking about his daddy, who had some of the greatest poetry, died at what, 29? In a car accident? One of the greatest poets in American history. I love those country music. That's why I'm going to Nashville, Tennessee in part. I love Georgetown, but man, going down south, some of those country musicians, man was talking about his wife cheated on him. He said she had a ring on her finger, but time on her hands. Woo-hoo-hoo! What a metaphorical display of existential agony. Another guy said, if all my exes live in Texas, that's why I live in Tennessee. And one of my favorites, if I had killed you when I met you, I would have been out of jail by now. Ooh, is that gangster country? What is that? All lives don't matter. All white lives are not equal. Privilege is real. White privilege is a real thing. My God, Jiminy Cricket, what do you mean? I'm poor like you. I'm struggling like you. How can white privilege be a thing? I'll tell you how. If you walk down the street and meet a cop and he doesn't kill you, shoot you, stab you, and take you under, I don't care how little money you got. That is a form of privilege that is not premised upon or predicated on how much emolument you make at the workplace. Right? Some privileges have nothing to do with economic remuneration. Back in apartheid South, when only white folk could go to Harvard, it didn't mean that all white folk could go to Harvard. It meant the only folk going to Harvard were white. See what I did there? See what I did there? It don't mean, I know it doesn't mean, but let's Ibanicize the articulation for this particular moment. It don't mean that all white folk gonna be rich. It means the people who tended to be rich were white, right? So privilege is a sociological category that can be deconstructed. And when we look at philosophically, and when we look at it, we can begin to understand it's not pointing the finger at somebody, it's acknowledging the force and value of whiteness in a culture where white supremacy reigns. White supremacy, what is that? The conscious or unconscious belief in the inherent superiority of one group and the inherent inferiority of the other. Just throwing a bunch of terms at you, but I know y'all college students, y'all at North Shore, that means y'all geniuses. Come on now. Salem State, y'all know what it is. Yes, Dyson, we know that race is a social construct. We know it's not biologically heritable and given through genetic transmission of material. It is something that the society tells us was good and bad. You ain't born with a sense of being superior. The society has to tell you that. Black lives matter too. That's the missing word there. Also, that's what's missing. We ain't trying to say it. If your hand is hurt and you got a pinky over here and the pinky goes, I'm hurt. The middle finger goes, what about me? Oh, I'm sorry. I was just showing you the middle finger. Right. What about me? You're not hurting, sir. Can we deal with the pinky? Stop being a finger narcissist. Stop being a digital narcissist. My God, the pinky needs attention right now. Because if the pinky ain't working, the hand ain't gonna work right. You come home to your wife, you've heard this before. Honey, do you love me? I love all women. No, son, slow down with that now. What's my birthday? All birthdays matter. What do you mean? Everybody's birthday is important. Where's mine? Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, honey. Sorry, didn't mean it. Okay. Did you bring me flowers? I bring all women flowers. I bring all people I love flowers. All flowers matter. Dude, you're going to get put out the crib. You're going to be on the couch. I'm trying to save your marriage. That's what I'm trying to do here. So how ludicrous is this? When we say Black Lives Matter, we're making a philosophical argument against the vicious offices of white supremacy that have pervaded this culture from the very beginning. The refusal to acknowledge the fundamental decency of Black humanity, the refusal to recognize that we are worthy of consideration. If, as I said, the Supreme Court itself said that the white people are not bound to respect Black people, it's written into the law. It's not just a social custom or habit or convention or ritual. It's not just the folkways and mores, though those are important. It is deeply inscribed in the legal documents that undergird American democracy. So when we say Black Lives Matter, what we're arguing is, hey, wake up. They have not mattered to you. They have not been significant to you. Black people are in the streets. We see white folk with machetes going after police people. You've seen the videos. I ain't got to tell you. You've seen them. And you be going like, oh my God. And the police are running. Oh my God, I don't want to hurt. All right. You saw this video. The white guy beats the police down, jumps in his car and tries to run him over. And the cop is running. Can we get some of that? I was in DC here pre-COVID, just let you know that. So I didn't have a mask on, except the mask I wear. We wear the mask, Paul Lawrence Dunbar said. Right? The mask, the fabricated pigment that articulates our ideals, the mask to try to hold from white America, to hold them at bay, to cover up the hurt, the pain, the agony that we are, the mask we wear to pretend that we are citizens who are equally treated. We have to pretend until it becomes a reality, and we have to force America to acknowledge that. We wear a mask to cover the deep and profound disgruntlement we have, the rage that sometimes courses through our veins, because we have been denied equal access to American goods and services. And so I was out one night about 4:30 in the morning. I was doing ethnographic research. The habits of young people dancing in clubs. That's what I was studying that night. So I was there with the festive bacchanalia, looking at them dance. I was like, first of all, y'all tripping. Y'all don't even dance together, right? In my day, I'm sorry, I hate to be that dude. Like, we used to ask, may I have a dance? Hell no, get away from me. Okay. Hey, can I dance with you? No, your breath stinks. Can I dance with you? Then 20 times, 21, you go, you hit, okay, you go dance with, oh, beautiful, beautiful. So you dance, right? Man, one woman, you know, just somebody else. But y'all be dancing by yourself. Yo, that's the jam. Yeah, that's it. Wait a minute, you're not dancing with somebody else. You're just dancing by yourself, huh? Okay, good. It's an atomistic, Emersonian individualist, kind of moment here. I get it. In my day, we used to like ask somebody to dance with us. And so I'm there at Ben's Chili Bowl, a local eatery there in Washington, D.C. And outside, a young white man is going at the cops something awful. You mother, I'll kick you. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill him. And then it occurred to me, no, they're not. He's a young white man, a young white boy, literally. And the cop took his phone and called a cab, right? It's right before Uber got big and Lyft and all that. And he said, son, you're clearly inebriated. You need to go home. What's your address? Damn, that's protecting and serving. I'm not mad at that. I think that's beautiful. Can we all get it? Can Indonesia immigrants get it? Can Mexican immigrants get that? Can brown peoples across the globe who live in America as immigrants get that? Can Black people in America get that? Can we be treated with equanimity and poise and justice? Black Lives Matter is the assertion that is made necessary by the refusal to acknowledge the meaning and mattering of Black lives. So please understand what it's responding to. It's responding to a history and legacy and a trajectory of white supremacy, social injustice, economic inequality, and systemic racism. George Floyd's death was the catalyst for that. May 25th, holiday weekend. Earlier that day in New York City, Amy Cooper called the police on Chris Cooper in Central Park. He just watching birds. He went to school there near y'all in Boston. It's not as good as your school. It begins with an H. I can't think of it. It's in Cambridge. I can't think of that school. But, it's all right. It'll do. Some people go there. And he went there. He had been a graduate of that school with the big H. So he's a pretty smart guy. And he asked the woman to leash her dog. How dare a Black man do what white people usually do? Not mind your own business and tell other people what to do. Sorry. Many white people think they are deputized. It's amazing to me. It gives the lie to your belief that Black people are inherently pathological and criminally ridden. Because if you believe that, you wouldn't be talking to us like that. Don't you know I could kill you? Don't you know I'd just be stabbing you or shoot you? If you really believed it, because you don't. Because people know we ain't doing that. We just regular people. We just trying to eat some Dunkin' Donuts and get this right relationship between the coffee and the donuts. We just trying to go to work. We go to Yale, and they call the police on us because we getting some sleep. in the lounge as a student. We're trying to sell lemonade on the street corner and they call the police on us. We're trying to sell water as a young child and they call the police on us. We're trying to just go into our own home and they think we're stealing our own stuff and they call the police on us. We out in California trying to barbecue and they call the police on us. What is more un-American than trying to separate Black people from barbecue? What is wrong with you? That's got to be one of the greatest crimes in American history. And then in New York, as he watches birds and has the unabashed temerity to tell her to leash your dog, please, as the rules say, she says, I'm going to call the police and say that you are scaring me, threatening me. And we found out, what, 4 days ago? She made a second call. What did she say on that call? He assaulted me. Come on. Black lives matter. And we see all the ways they don't matter. In the criminal justice system, when Black people are locked up disproportionately, we see it. Anything with ending with the word system gives you a hint that it's been infected with at least racial bias, racial consciousness, and racism. Criminal justice system, public school system, where you got 60, 70, $80 million schools in suburbia and schools in the inner city with hardly any running water. Secondhand books, no broadband, no ability to get online, no high-speed access at least. When we look at every system in America, kids being kicked out of public schools at 7 and 8 and 9 years old, cast as thugs, police people in those schools manhandling Black and Latinx and indigenous students. Black lives have not mattered in a culture that has exploited our labor, but not compensated us for it. Stolen us from a nation, from a country, from a civilization, from a continent, extracting 20 of us in 1619 and bringing us here to America and forcing us against our wills to perform work. And since that time, no adequate compensation, no making of reparation. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we're arguing for the recognition that America has systemically denied us the opportunity to do what others can take for granted. And in the few minutes I have left then, the reason that has been so controversial to some people because they have been living in an unconscious paradise where they have not been forced to grapple with how their lives have meant so much more than others' lives. Not by anything they did, just by definition. Just by existing in a culture that privileges certain things. If a culture loves orange and hates blue, you ain't got to just be born orange. That's all. Nothing you did. You ain't great. You're just orange. And they like orange and they hate blue. Now, it happens to be in this culture, we seem to love blue and tolerate it, and orange is an aberration that has besieged us for the last 4 years, but I digress. And so when people say Black Lives Matter, well, Blue Lives Matter. First of all, get your philosophical argument right. Read some Kant, some Hegel, some Derrida, some Foucault, some goddamn Descartes. Cogito ergo sum. Learn some damn Latin up in this piece. Cop is not a category that is similar to Black. Do we need a duh? Read Homer Simpson. Duh. Cop is a choice. Blue is a profession. It's an ontological assignment. It's a metaphysical articulation. It ain't real, bruh. It's just the color of your uniform. What about if it was red? Red lives matter, right? So how you gonna make that comparable, a choice of uniform that expresses your profession to a life that has been subjugated and relegated to the periphery because of the ontological assault upon vulnerable Black identity? Come on, bruh. Are y'all that crazy? Y'all ain't that stupid. You know what it is. You know blue and Black ain't got no relationship. Blue lives matter. That's like saying pink lives matter if you were a nurse, and they do. But anybody could be a nurse, including Black people. Get it? Black people can be police. Get it? So it doesn't compute, homie. And so trying to assault the notion of Black Lives Matter to make it controversial, how sad are we? That merely to say, you know what? Could you recognize the meaning of my life that it matters to? You're a political Nazi and a bigot you are. You are blind to the need of America. Make America great again. I just said, I want you to recognize that Black Lives Matter. I didn't say all that. I'm conservative. I'm actually an evangelical Christian who believes in some of the values you do. But if your racism didn't block you, you'd have more people in your party. Lord have mercy. Did I need to say that again? How are you calling me all that? A Marxist? I just don't want to get shot when I get stopped by the Miggy Friggy police. How am I a Marxist? I don't care if you call me a Marxist or a Bolshevist. I don't care if you call me a Stalinist. I don't care if you call me a progressive. I just want to be called by my name and let be alive. White paranoia, right? This is what we're living in. And let me say this, I'm gonna keep this nonpartisan for the most part. But be real. How you gonna have even right-wing Republicans are going, oh my God, please spare us. Ben Sass, what the hell, right? I mean, Romney, when he can muster up some courage, what's up with y'all with that? Oh, anyway. Y'all helped him out in Massachusetts. You didn't straighten him out, so he had to go back to Utah. But I mean, some of these senators are like, are you really kidding me? Like, are we serious here? Because they know you don't believe in science. You're beating up on Fauci. You acting like you don't know what he's talking about. You ain't no disease specialist except the infinite infernal capacity of your narcissism. You're a malignant narcissist. You do have that disease. You know, that's the disease that makes everybody sick but you. When you got it. Oh my God. So we know that when we say Black Lives Matter, he's calling us because we protest thugs. A 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse, right? Who kills 2 people in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and shoots a 3rd, an American hero. But Black people who stand up, brown people who stand up, red, yellow, white people who stand up for the cause of righteousness, who look for justice and healing. Justice is what love sounds like when it speaks in public. If you know what a justice is, it's the love ethic made public. It's the concern for the other. It's doing right by the other. It's giving him or her their just due. Justice is the systemic pursuit of right relations in social and political and moral orders that reflect a commitment to doing and being as honorable and as fair as possible. Black people don't want no hookup. We just want the regular deal. The regular deal that so many people who are not Black or brown or rather yellow in this country get, the people who are not indigenous, the BIPOC, the Black indigenous people of color. We just want that deal. To be treated with respect and decency, to be recognized for our humanity. And we cannot have healing without justice. Because you can't heal a wound unless you recognize that it exists. I'm wounded. All wounds matter. No, but I'm in Vietnam. I just got, no! Sergeant Dan, come on. Y'all saw Forrest Gump. Come on now. No, Sergeant Dan. Just because you got your legs blown off, all legs matter. And so, my brothers and sisters, there can be no healing without justice. and no justice unless we heal the schisms, the divisions, the injustices that prevail. When we say Black Lives Matter, we ain't assaulting nobody, we ain't hurting nobody, we ain't trying to beat nobody down. We're trying to embrace our humanity, articulate our perspectives as human beings and citizens of this great United States of America, and finally, to embrace all. So as I end and we talk a bit, Black lives should matter. Black lives must matter. And indeed, in the vast reach of the American imagination, Black lives have mattered in ways that they have been exploited. What would America be without Black folk, Ralph Ellison said? Without Toni Morrison writing Beloved and Baby Suggs, without James Baldwin writing The Fire Next Time, without Billie Holiday singing Strange Fruit, without James Brown singing Sex Machine. Some of y'all might not even be here. Without Marvin Gaye singing Let's Get It On. Some of your mamas and daddies used to sing that. Ooh, they got so freaky, they would be embarrassed to tell you right now. You would just, oh my God, I don't even want to know. Please stop. Don't even tell me. Because you got here, I got here by Immaculate Conception. Don't even act like you had sex. Stop. All right. What would America be without Martin Luther King Jr., who stood at the sunlit summit of expectation in Washington, D.C. to articulate a dream that encompassed everybody? And now we have a leader of the free world who can't even denounce white supremacists because they're operating inside of his brain. Here's a man who stands up every morning to excrete the feces of his moral depravity into a nation he has turned into his psychic commode. I'm trying to say it nice. I don't want to cuss. And women who have been victimized, people of color who have been victimized, gay, lesbian, transgender, bisexual people who have been victimized, others who have been victimized. Let's come together. My brothers and sisters, Black lives should matter. Black lives must matter. Black lives do matter. But the only way we can make certain of that is to understand that to embrace Black people is to embrace the best of who we are as America, and to embrace the ideals and the noble aspirations for which we have been willing to die to secure this country's democracy. Do you know when Black men and women came home from World War II, especially Black men in their uniform, they were lynched? Because some white folk here couldn't believe they had the gall to put on an American uniform because they were unworthy? Do you know in some foreign theaters where they said, we don't practice racism over here, so all people are equal, the white soldiers took up arms against the Black soldiers on the same side that they were fighting to try to hurt, harm, stop, and kill Black soldiers because they were having access to bars and restaurants in a free way? And America tried to impose its vicious, narrow constraints on another nation. This is tragic, this is sad, but this is real. And so I invite us to think that when we say Black Lives Matter, we are helping everybody. Because until Black lives matter, all lives cannot not matter. And we will not be able to live up to the true meaning of our motto, E pluribus unum, out of many one. Thank you so very kindly.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dyson. We do have time for questions now. If you have a question, if you could raise your hand in the participants window, there's a couple we have from chat as well, but I will look for those who have risen their hand and unmute you.
Hey, Laurie, real quickly, I'd like to recognize Dr. Brown. I see Dr. Sheldon Brown is part of the Zoom, and he is the, as I said in my opening remarks, is the creator of this forum. So I want to make sure we acknowledge Dr. Brown and thank you for your contribution.
Laurie, this is Kara Kaufman.
Yes.
We did have one question as Dr. Dyson was speaking. It's from Dr. Lloyd Sheldon Johnson. And he said, can you share how growing up in the D informed your worldview?
Man, where's my Detroit hat? I should have my Detroit hat here with the D on it. I know everybody wants to be from Detroit. I know. God bless you. I know you can't be. You want to be, but you can't. And I understand it. Just accept where you were born. But Detroit was a great place. I'm 61. Lord be willing, the creek don't rise. October 23rd comes, I'll be 62. That's later this week on Friday. I'll give you my address. Send me some, okay. Yeah. So, it was amazing. A Black universe was taken as the norm, right? Black intelligence was presumed because we had segregated schools, you see? We didn't choose to do that. That's just the way it was, because white people didn't want to go to school with Black people. They didn't want their kids mixing with us. And so I was in an all Black school, had a white principal, but the teachers were Black and the students were all Black. And it was an amazing experience. My 5th grade teacher, Mrs. James, man, she taught us. I won my first blue ribbon for citing poetry. I wish I could find that blue ribbon. Little Brown Baby with Sparkling Eyes from Paul Laurence Dunbar. Plus, she had a daughter, Val Jean, who had a friend, Carla, I was in love with. So what can I tell you? I was in the 5th grade, but they were like teenagers, but that's fives. So the relationship between Eros and epistemology was very deeply inscribed with me as a kid. But she taught us about Black life, about famous Black people, and about poets and writers and thinkers and activists and singers and cowboys throughout history. It changed my life. And do you know that my mother told me, because I was 5th grade, so I was about 8, 9 years old, 1968, 9 years old before I turned 10 in that October. And my mama told me that some of the parents, Black parents, went up to the white principal and complained about Mrs. James teaching us Black history because that would never be relevant. What was that going to do to help us? Hello, I got a PhD from Princeton. I'm telling you, it didn't start at Princeton, baby. It started in the 5th grade in that segregated school in Detroit, Michigan, where the Temptations had gone to school. I know y'all heard of them, right? Don't be hating on my city because we had the coldest music ever. Aretha, Gladys Knight and the Pips. Don't be jealous. Stop. I understand. Michael Jackson, I do now. I want you back. Ooh, ooh, baby. I want you back. Hey, hey, hey now. Y'all didn't have that. Y'all didn't have Michael. So here I was in school, and they didn't understand the necessity for this Black historical legacy that shaped in a profound way my life. So coming up in Detroit, fighting against racism, 1967, the year before that, I saw a dirty trail of smoke in the sky and I asked my mama, what is that? She said, it's part of a riot. I said, what's a riot? What? And they were burning. I saw people running down the street with televisions. I was like, I need to join them. What's up with the TV? We could use a TV in the hood, in the ghetto. I saw brothers with big fros with money stuffed in the fro. There were many uses to the afro, trust and believe. So I was like, what is it? And I said, what is a riot? And she said, well, people got upset. And guess what the riot was caused by? Police brutality. Because it has been caused for a long time. The tension and the hurt and pain in Black America by policing. Even Martin Luther King Jr. in his 1963 March on Washington, I Have a Dream speech talked about police brutality. So growing up in Detroit gave me a sense of who I was. Let me say very quickly, all that great music, we were kind of arrogant. We believe, hey, we got the thing. Y'all trying to be like us. We ain't trying to cross over. We over here at Motown. Holla at your boy, the Temptations. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day. All you guys out there talking to your girl. Yo, shorty. First of all, she's taller than you. How come she's shorty? What are you talking about? Yeah, baby, what's up? No, talk with some damn respect. Understand who your woman is if you happen to be heterosexual. in your relationship. Respect everybody in relationships, but you know, you call them out their name. I've got sunshine on a cloudy day when it's cold outside. I've got the month of May. I guess you say, what can make me feel this way? Not my bitch, my hoe, my skeezer, my slut, my hood rat, my girl. Sorry, that's the old man up in me. That's the old man up in me. So I was there, 1968. Two things happened, at least. Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered in Memphis. I was sitting on the living room floor watching television. My daddy in the big chair. Can daddy get the big chair? Yeah, he had it. Ain't nobody else got it. He had the big chair. Watching television, 6:01, 6:05 p.m., 6:10. We're sorry to interrupt this news broadcast, but tonight in Memphis, Tennessee, Martin Luther King Jr. has just been shot. Right, Walter Cronkite. Come on, man. I'm killing the Cronkite up in here. Come on. Iconic. That's what Kennedy, wrong death, but I'm just saying, right? They announced that King has been shot. I asked my mother, who is he? Which one is he? I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory. Then he turns on his heel and walks away into the arms of a man I would soon meet 20 years later. Soon, okay, relatively. Jesse Jackson. And then Ralph Abernathy. 39 years old the next night, murdered. And that affected me deeply and profoundly. And I got all his speech. I was, you know, this is when they ain't had no downloads. I couldn't go to the, iTunes. So I had to go and spend my allowance money and send off for a 45. That's not a gun. That's a little record, y'all. It's a little record that's spun around. Not the 33 and a half or the 78 if you really were older. Okay. But the 33 and a half long play, LP, Frank Sinatra made the LP popular. In the wee small hours of the morning, just for you. Oh, Blue Eyes, show some respect to Frank Sinatra up in this piece. So I sent off for the 45 and I learned all of his speeches. And then later on that year, Bob Gibson from the St. Louis Cardinals came to Detroit and struck out 17 batters in the first game of the World Series. My team was the Detroit Tigers. His team was the St. Louis Cardinals, but I tended to like them because they had all the black men in the National League. We didn't have but 3 black men on our team, Willie Horton, Earl Wilson, and Gates Brown, who was a pinch hitter. And they had all those black men doing great things, and it affected me. Then we had a black mayor in the mid-70s, Coleman Young, 73, 74, right? We had a black lawyers who used big words that it affected me in a profound way. I don't want to over-answer this. It gave me a sense of who I am. I began making public speeches when I was 11 years old. I wrote my first speech. The Detroit News had the 12-year-old boy's plea against racism wins award. I've been doing this for 50 years. That's what I've been doing. It's consistent, trying to argue about the need for social justice and healing in our country. So I could say a lot more. As you can see, I'm not very proud of Detroit, but there are a few things that happened there that I think are important to talk about. I won't answer as long as that. I'm sorry, but I just had to get all that in.
And we actually have another question. This is from Dr. Sean Bennett, but he asked, Dr. Dyson, can you speak to the evolution of Black Lives Matter? What are the next steps to assure progress and resolve the problems of oppression, policing, and mass incarceration?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, they have evolved. I mean, all groups evolve, right? You start off in a certain way. Look, the Montgomery bus boycott started the Montgomery Improvement Association, MIA. But they went from the Montgomery Improvement Association, Montgomery, get it? They're just on Montgomery, to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. See what I'm saying? They evolved. They had bigger fish to fry, not just in Montgomery. And all Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks and Joanne Robinson, all they wanted the first time, hey, can we just, like, if there are no white people on the bus, can we sit in the white section so we can sit down? Hell no. If they had hooked the black people up, they might not have had the civil rights movement start right there. Now, I think it was inevitable it was coming, and they were going to eventually ask for more. But initially, what they were asking for was so modest, but white supremacy tolerates no acknowledgement of the legitimacy or validity of Black identity. So that's its problem. And so people rebelled. So they evolved into the Southern Christian Leadership, and then, civil rights movement took off, and so many other groups, CORE, NAACP, the National Urban League, and the like. So Black Lives Matter has evolved. Now, one of the ways they've evolved is they have many different contributions from many different people. The infuriating thing about Black Lives Matter to some people is its strength. Ain't no one leader. Take us to your leader. Okay, there are like a bunch of people. Like, wait a minute, hold on. This ain't no Mars. This ain't how they do it on Mars. Where's your leader? Just one person. No, they got the chapter over here, the chapter over there. 2 queer women and a straight Black woman founded it. How beautiful is that? But there are many local establishments. It depends upon the local place as to what Black Lives Matter means. They've written policy that is tremendous, not just about Black policing, about policing, although that's extremely important. And the question to ask about both oppressive policing and mass incarceration. Well, they've got to address mass policing. They're putting it, policing, they're putting it on board. Look, we're having conversations about what? Defunding the police. Now, again, the right wing is trying to distort that. It don't mean what they think it means, right? All it's saying is, like, take the money from the police and give it to people who do the stuff that's necessary in public safety. Police don't have a copyright on public safety. And most public safety doesn't involve police going out and shooting people. You know what police mostly do with most of their time? To go out and get a cat is up in the tree, or somebody is complaining about noise and stuff. It ain't no deep thing, right? We think it is. Disproportionately, it's not about that. So if we could reassign some of that work to people who can take care of it, that would be great. Number 2, what about the mental health issue? Why is a cop responding to a person having a psychotic episode? And what you end up doing is shooting them if they're Black. You put a spit hood over them up in Rochester, New York, a spit hood on Daniel Prude, who went from Chicago. He was having a psychotic episode. They put a spit hood on him and basically smothered him. Where's the humanity in that? You're a public servant. So oppressive policing is not just an individual. When they say, oh, it's a few bad apples. No, it ain't. The whole damn bunch is messed up because it's a systemic problem, right? And when it's in the system, it ain't like cancer. Oh, it's just a few bad cells. Just get them, Yeah, but the chemotherapy is aimed at them. It's trying to destroy them, but it has effects on the entire body. And so, my brothers and sisters, those who say it's just a few bad cops, why is it that the few bad cops keep killing the Black people? How come they don't few bad cops killing white folk? Because let me tell you something that I can guarantee you this. If white folk were being killed at the same rate and way that Black people are, ain't gonna be no argument of, hey, that's just what it is. My son had to die in order to keep peace. Yeah. If you believe that, I got some swampland in New Jersey I want to sell you, right? White people will be out of their minds, not out of their minds, out of their minds, and rightfully so. So understand it when we are enraged. Understand it when we think that on any given day, the police can stop us and we can go home in a body bag. I don't care what your pedigree is. I don't care what your education is. I don't care what your standing and social status are. You can be subject to this form of immediate judge and jury. Police people are not to be judge and juries, but they often are. I have been called nigger by the police. I have been beaten by the police. And I'm telling you, it is not a great feeling. It is demoralizing and humiliating. And so we've got to stop the systemic injustice of that by defunding the police, reassigning the money to public safety. We ain't getting rid of public safety. We're just making sure that the people who are doing public safety are held to account. And if you keep the police, have some oversight boards with real teeth that can police the police. Right now, when they have what is known as qualified immunity, police can do damn thing, anything they want to do. Oh yeah, I shot him, I'm sorry, that's what it is. And then they're not even held to account. Prosecutors won't hold them to account. That's why it's important for you to vote. Prosecutors are often elected. Vote for these people who will either hold the people who kill your children accountable or not, your loved ones accountable or not. So oppressive policing has to be continually reinforced as an ideal that has to be challenged. And Black Lives Matter has put that on the agenda. Of course, Reverend Al Sharpton started it way before them as well, right? Back in the day when a lot of bourgeois Black people thought, that's you Black people who are acting crazy in the street. Now when bourgeois Negroes get hurt and killed, oh my God, it's a national problem, right? Mass incarceration, come on. Opioid addiction, really? That's what y'all call it? I ain't mad at you, but you called us crack thugs. You called us crack hoes. You said we were preternaturally given over to being super predators. You said that we deserve to go to jail for the same thing that when your kids get it, a methamphetamine addiction or an opioid addiction, they're sick. Let's not criminalize them. Let's hospitalize them. I agree. But we put generations of Black people in jail. You know how many Black people are serving life in prison now for 3 strikes and you're out for selling 2 ounces of darn weed? Do you realize how many people are in jail for decades because of petty criminality, nonviolent drug offenses? So we've got to do both of those in a very serious systemic way, examine them. We've made some progress, but I think as Black Lives Matter evolves, it will continue to hold a spotlight on these vicious repudiations of essential justice in our country.
Hello, Dr. Dyson. My name is Elizabeth Paz, and I work at North Shore Community College as an adjunct.
Mm-hmm. What do you teach? What area? What?
English. I work in the ESL area, so it's very composition.
Okay. Very important.
How do you find the energy just to continue fighting? It seems like when you turn on the news, something is happening somewhere. You know, I'm a person of color. I'm also Latina, right? There is so much going on with immigration, so much going on with race. It's coming from every angle.
Yeah.
You know, how do you continue?
Yeah, that's Professor Paz. That's a real question. It's real powerful. You know, James Baldwin said to be Black and relatively conscious in this culture is what? To be in a constant state of rage. And it's really harsh when many non-Black people or non-Latinx people judge us, because I be reading white folk get mad on social media for some stuff somebody said to them and they ready to kill them. And I get it. I hate some of this cancel culture stuff, I must admit. Cancel culture needs to be canceled, you know, but I'll get back to that later. What I mean by cancel culture, not what Donald Trump is talking about. I'm not talking about that. That's just an authoritarian wanting to authoritarianize, right? I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about if somebody makes a mistake and you beating them up, like you're throwing them away to make people disposable. In other words, to hibernate within the environs of white supremacy and to introduce the notion of canceling, which is a white supremacist idea. Black people ain't as historically been about canceling, redeeming, changing, transforming, making better. Cancel? Damn, I get one chance, I'm done? I'm like done? And I'm talking about across the board. I don't care who you are, white, Black, red, brown, yeah. Don't, please stop. But the immediacy of adjudicating justice on an app like Twitter versus even however imperfect it is. But when you can have a say-so, when you can defend yourself, when you can say this is what happened, is deeply and profoundly problematic. However, what you said is so moving. It is exhausting. It is humiliating. And to have to repeat, you see, I started with a little joke. Let me give you an example. When I started with a little humor, and you can see I'm a funny guy. I mean, you know, I try to be. I mean, I might be unintentionally funny. Like they laugh like, this dude think he's funny. He is crazy, okay? But he's kind of whack, and he's like, got the old dad jokes, so we get it. So when I said jokingly, what, it took George Floyd, for real? For real? That's what it took? Like, for real? Like all this other shit that happened, you ain't been paying attention? Like what? Can you imagine This is why some black people go, I ain't, you know, when some white people ask what to do, I've seen black people online. I'm tired. I ain't explaining nothing else. Do it your damn self. You know, I was at school once. I mean, I go more than once. I don't want you to think I'm skipping school. I'm just saying, but one time when I was at school, I've been to school more than once. I just want you to know that. See, them big famous professors, he could been to school one time. In all 15 years, he's been to school one time. Okay, no, I've been more than once. So I'm in school one day, and my students are, you know, Black Latinx. They're like, we didn't come here to teach you. And so, you know, they're telling the white kids, and the white kids are like, oh, okay, you know, and because they're asking questions. And so I started repeating what the students said. I said, yeah. I jumped in. I said, damn it. I didn't come to this school to teach white. I said, oh, actually I did. I'm a professor. Okay. I lost myself there for a minute. Yeah, that's my job, right? That's what I do. I do teach people who ask dumbass questions. That's my job. That's what professors do. What do professors do? Answer people who ask stupid ass questions. That's what we do. That's what we spend most of our time. Every now and again, we get some genius out there. It's like, damn, I have no idea, but I'm gonna make some shit up right now. Okay. But for the most part, and thank God for asking dumbass questions, because dumbass questions are meant for dumbass people, and most of us are. So we're trying, no disrespect. I know we're brilliant and genius, okay? Okay. But the thing is, if you got a question, a lot of other people got questions. So keep asking. So that's what we do. We're paid pests on the one hand. We just keep, you know, we argue against shit. Why you gotta be so damn, why? You just can't take the, no, I can't take no for an answer or yes. Tell me why. That's what we do. We probe our students, because most of the stuff you learn in my class is gonna be obsolete by the time you graduate, except for learning how to think. Damn it, I'm gonna make your ass think. So you going 20 years from now, you're gonna say, hey, I didn't learn it in Dyson's class, but I learned how to think. I learned how to think for myself. I know how to read the hermeneutics of suspicion. I read between the lines. I know how to be critical, right? But can you imagine you a Black professor, you, Latinx and Black, Afro-Latino, you know what I'm saying? You get in from all ends, you know, it's coming into you, class, gender, race, sexuality, you know, hormonal. Damn, they don't even include that. And here you are trying to fight as a human being, us, you, thus, them, we, trying to make a space in the world that doubts our intelligence, that is skeptical of our humanity, that is doubtful of our capacity to contribute. Students who think, oh, y'all there because of affirmative action. So I started my last semester off. Before my class, I said, for all the white students there, anybody here whose parents paid for them to get here on a sports team that they don't really play with? I just want to know. Yeah. Oh my God. Ooh, that was tough. Now, you know, I laughed. I'm I didn't mean it. Unless you do. So let me know now. Can you imagine white people? Yes, I said, now white people, think about it. Think about how you feel right now. You are madder than a mother. Like, how dare he? Just because some people did that, why you assume all of it? Right. That's what we be saying. That's what she said. That's what he said. That's what we said. Like, why do you imagine your projection of what affirmative action is? First of all, affirmative action don't even mean what you think it means. It means people who have been historically denied an opportunity to get a shot when competition between two relatively equal candidates comes down to, okay, we have a historically underrepresented minority that could fill this slot because of things we did to keep them out. Right? That's all affirmative action. It don't mean like giving the hookup to some inferior people. No, that's for Donald Trump. I mean, I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? Oh, so sorry. Okay, right. Don't, since I'm on that, white people, I don't want to hear a goddamn thing again about you being mad at affirmative action when you got the most ignorant, unintelligent, unmolested by enlightenment, proud to be dumb president who represents a fleshly thesaurus of white obliviousness. Don't never tell me nothing, stable genius, my Black behind. So anyway, so it's difficult, it's painful, it's exhausting to have to explain again and again and again, but that's what we do as professors. But damn, again and again and again. And then we spend time doing that, but we can't get our work done. So when it comes time for tenure, oh, by the way, your book is not done. But I was talking to your kid. your white kids who didn't know. I was explaining to them. They ain't in my class. They just came by. Like that's not my job. Oh, no tenure? Damn, I was doing all that work, right? In a research university or in a teaching university, like the ones you all are in, the tremendous institutions that pay attention to kids, young people. It's extremely difficult. And it wears on your spirit. So what do? I listen to Luther Vandross. Don't you remember? I told you I loved you, baby. You got to find some music. You know, I used to go to the movies, but COVID-19, I can't do that. Can't do it. Want to sneak in because there ain't nobody hardly at the movie right now. I might go, but you know, got to have my mask on. But you got to find some way to relieve the ennui, the horror, the terror in just being human and breathing in and out. Then secondly, take what you do with deadly seriousness, but never take yourself too seriously at all. Damn it. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, what I'm doing is serious. I'm on the battlefield. Remember, I'm a Baptist preacher too. I know you can't tell. What? You? I ain't even mad at you. If you go like, we would have never thought about it. Guess what? Most people I preach to don't either. So here it is. In the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, as some people call it, in the Old Testament, a story in 1st or 2nd Kings, or excuse me, 1 or 2 Kings, 1 or 2 Corinthians. I'm sure one of those, okay? The story of Elijah. It is enough, O Lord. Now take away my life. For they have slain thy prophets and taken down thy altars. It is enough. Now take away my life. My pastor preached a sermon on this 40, 50 years ago. Cancel tomorrow. Right? Kill me. He said, take away my life. Just kill me, God. I'm done. Because they ain't listening to your word. People are bowing down at a false God, and they've killed all your prophets. And I'm the last one left. God was like, slow down, Mace, you're killing them. Okay, God didn't say that part. That was Diddy, right? I thought I told you we weren't going to stop. See, that's 90s hip hop. Y'all don't even know what that is. You're listening to Little Uzi Vert and Little Baby and Baby and Ooh Baby and Da Baby. Stop. Damn. Listen to some real hip hop up in here. That's real too. I'm not mad. So God says, slow down. You're tired. You're exhausted. Repair yourself. Get some sleep. You're depressed. And when you get up, let me show you a secret. Elijah says, what? 7,000 people who ain't sold out. When you think you're the only one, you get worn out. You get burnt out. You're not the only one. Now, Elizabeth Paz, professor, you're unique. There are very few people who can do what you do. Sit here with pensive radiance, high intelligence, chocolate charm to no end, and with a willing engagement in multilingual realities converging with your intellectual and cerebral acuity and brilliance. So you're a unique figure. There's no question about that. And if you don't already have tenure, we're going to get it to you today before class is over. Right? And we're going to get you a raise too. I wish the president was on here. I wish the acting president was here, because I wish we could get you a raise now. I'm just going, I'm just telling you, that's how cold you are, right? So the thing is, though, is that if you think you're the only one, then you carry the weight on your shoulders as opposed to community. That's why it's important to establish community. Go to your local church, synagogue, crack house. A church, synagogue, and video game outlet. Wherever it is, wherever you find joy and peace, and learn to forge connection with other people. And then finally, as we fight this battle, you got to understand what our slave foreparents understood. That there is hope, not optimism, which is shallow. That's optimism. The wind's blowing this way. No. Hope is against hope. Hope means even when you can't see it, you believe in something deeper and more profound than you. Whether it's spiritual, whether it's religious, whether it's a kind of cosmic philosophy, or whether it's your belief in humanity and its power and position to overcome. If you invest in that, it gives you a sense. When I see young people, when I see white people getting involved in the movement, they weren't doing that in the 60s the same way now. Stop. Give some play and respect to Black Lives Matter. Because a lot of white folk were getting involved right now on the front line, dying, willing to struggle in the struggle with Black and brown and red and yellow people. So if we hold on to those propositions, I think we'll be able to overcome. But I'm gonna get you that raise. I'm just telling you right now. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you for the work you do and all of the professors here.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And thank you so much, Dr. Dyson. Thank you for your time. And can you want to all join me in thanking Dr. Dyson?
Mhm. You know what? I was talking so much. Can I just answer one more question right here? I see right quick. I know we got to go. But I
Please.
see it says, do you think it is hypocritical when politicians use MLK speeches during their campaigns in Black communities without addressing issues affecting the community? Hell to the yes. Hell, yes, yes. For real though. Yes. For shizzle my nizzle. Yes. Okay, I just can't say that enough. Yeah, it's you're using King to beat up on protesters. He would be nonviolent, you know. What did King say? I will never again hold these young people accountable without holding the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, the American government. Oh, you don't want to hear that part of King, do you? You ain't quoting that speech because that's what he was talking about. So yes, I think it is the case. Energizing, hilarious. Well, thank you. Let me see what else. Okay, I think that was it. To me, being in your classroom studying Malcolm X, thank you, gratitude. Somebody, was it Sister Jill Brown? Oh, Jill Brown, Brown University 95. Where you at, Jill? You here? Is Jill here? I don't know. She might not be on. Man, well, that's going back old school. I was at Brown from 92 to 94, so I had a great time over there. Not as great as North Shore, but it's pretty good school. All right, pretty good school. Not as great as Salem, but it's a pretty good school. All right, thank you all so much. I just wanted to.
Dr. Dyson, I just want to say again, on behalf of North Shore Community College and Salem State University, we really appreciate you giving us your wisdom, your knowledge, your sense of humor to a really serious subject. But I tell you one thing, I think we're all going to leave this Zoom really thinking about where we go from here as a nation and as individuals and what we can do in this movement. So thank you very much.
Thank you very kindly. Your picture is literally right above Professor Elizabeth Paz. How wonderful, how symbolic, how metaphorical. I promised her a raise, Doc. You gotta help me keep my word. Even if you give her only $100 per hour, you know, you just gotta help me out here. All right, so help her out, please.
You're breaking up. My Zoom is breaking up.
See, this is called systemic inequity. All right. Thank you all so very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, take good care.
Thanks everyone for participating. Have a good evening.